Going on, guys? Welcome back to the Stay Waiting podcast. I'm joined with my co-host Sugar Ray. How you doing?
Listen, man, we out here pushing through as usual. Yourself?
All good, man. All good. I'm a bit tired, but like you said, we're pushing through. And today we're going to be talking a little MMA as well. We've got a big fight coming up this week. We've got Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya, the rematch. The first fight itself kind of leans similar to where Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards did, where the champion was in control. And then, boom, we got the knockout as well with Alex Pereira leaving with the middleweight title. Got the rematch, like I said, this weekend coming up. What's your opinion going into this fight?
This is the fight where Izzy needs to come out. I don't know if I'll call it pride, for lack of a better term, let's call it pride. Put your pride aside. This is not a striking match. This is MMA. Go in there and use all your tools. Do not go in there thinking, I'm just going to strike with the guy, because I think because of their history, technically this is their second MMA fight. But in terms of actual fights, this is a quadrilogy. Their fourth fight, because Pereira beat him twice in kickboxing. And I feel like the third fight, or the first MMA one, I feel like Izzy tried to strike with him, because obviously that's both of their backgrounds. He wanted to prove a point. And my thing is Pereira a better striker? You could argue that. But then at the same time as well, it's like the combination of his skill and his size was just like, yo, do not just try to strike with this guy. No one's saying that you can't, but use everything in your favor. You've got more experience with him than him in regards to grappling and all other facets of MMA. Use it. Go in there and be a mixed martial artist. Don't go in there and be an elite striker. Go in there and be a mixed martial artist, because if he gets the win and he uses all the skills, this can differentiate him from other greats, where the likes of, the GSPs, the John Jones, the Demetrius Johnsons of the world, these are people that are elite because they use all facets of MMA. And I feel like this is the fight where Izzy needs to go in there and use all facets and prove his greatness.
It's funny you said that, because Bisping kind of alluded to it a bit as well, where he needs to be more as a whole, and especially with the grappling and stuff, and maintain more control itself. The first fight, I think he only landed one takedown. So is that something where you look at and think he should be a bit more assertive when it comes to this fight as well?
I think the funny thing is, the reason why he only got one takedown, and credit to Izzy, because after the fight, he didn't shy away from speaking to the media. I think he admitted that one thing that happened was there was too much damage done to him by the time, I believe he got the takedown in the third round. But I think he was saying that after that round, he tried to do more takedowns and then more damage was done to his body. So I think it was maybe in the fifth round when he tried to get a takedown, it was just like his body was just gave out. And if you recall, in the fifth round, I forgot there's a nerve in the leg where Pereira kicked his leg, and then you remember Izzy falling over the leg because he just lost feeling in it. And I feel like that's what happens when you try to trade with someone that's just an elite striker as much as you and has the size advantage, because Pereira outside the camp he could definitely make 205, but there's a lot of people that say he scales up to be as big as a heavyweight when he's not in camp, when he doesn't have a fight. So someone like that, there's no reason for you to be just striking with them. I get it, pride-wise, and due to the history, you thought that he was a better striker than him. I hear it. Go in there and be a full mixed martial artist. Get that win. And you can still be just as entertaining with a full set of skills rather than just being a striker.
So I was going to say then, you talked on Izzy going in as the challenger. When it comes to Pereira himself, what does he have to do in this particular fight where he can basically go in there, similar to what Leon did, where he asserted himself and he looked like the dominant champion going into this, and it wasn't just as a one-off loss type of thing?
I think just assert himself. Like I was saying, you're the bigger guy, you're the better striker. And then if Izzy wants to go in there and strike with you again, Pereira's probably going to thinking, boy, I'm happy to oblige, because the fact that the going into the fifth round, his corner was truthful with him and they said basically you need a knockout. And the fact that Pereira was able to just turn it on like that, for me, that is scary and crazy at the same time. it literally, his team said, you're behind, and Pereira said, all right, cool, time to kill him. And then he just went in there, just started striking with him. And like I said, same thing. Pereira is almost like Pereira knew you're going to strike with me. I know you're going to strike with me. So let's go power for power. Let's see who wins. And Pereira won. And I just feel like this next match is like, Izzy, you cannot afford to be that person again. Go in there and be a mixed martial artist.
There's something I want to talk about when it comes to Izzy, and that's the longevity of his fights. When you look at them, a lot of them have gone the distance and stuff. Is it a bit of a worry that within 5 rounds he can't put away guys and he relies on more overall round control rather than having the ability to be able to put away a fighter?
No, I don't think it's an issue. I think he's just good defensively. Like, I don't understand why people want him to go in there and be reckless, because before, when he was fighting other guys, he used to go in there and finish them because there was lesser competition. The further you go up, the harder it's going to be to, like, obviously go against people that are just as high as you skill-wise and knock them out. It's not going to happen. So there's certain fights where you look back and people might complain that it went to decision, but in all honesty, you're the challenger. You're supposed to go in there and take it from the champion, and they didn't. And on Izzy's part, why am I going in there and taking more damage than I need to? Whether it's like Romero fight or the Cannonier fight, you got 2 power punchers. Why is Izzy going in there on the attack? Because I explain it to people like this. Imagine Izzy comes in as a champion. You as a challenger aren't as aggressive. If you guys just stand there for the whole 5 minutes, 5 rounds, Izzy wins because he's the champion. Because guess what? It would go to a draw because no one scored nothing. Izzy wins because he's the champion. So using that example, when other fighters didn't press him because they're scared of the counterattack, I can't blame that on Izzy. Because what do you want Izzy to go in there and be reckless? And then, like I said, he goes in there and then look what happened with the Pereira fight. I think Izzy, because he's so polarizing, people just want to give any excuse to chat rubbish on him. And now that he lost, now people are taking opportunity to just be a dick to him. But I'm sure he probably expects that and he knows what it is.
Interestingly, when it comes to that, who goes into this fight more confident? Because on one hand, you could say you've got arguably the better fighter overall in Izzy.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, you've got the champion who, again, like I liken it to Leon to a point where you were able to get the win when you were down on the rounds in the final round. Who goes in this fight more confident to be able to replicate or be able to get the victory?
Oh, Pereira. Listen, this guy he beat him in their first kickboxing match. He starched him in a second kickboxing match. And now he's beating him in an MMA match. And I don't know if you've seen the content on the internet, like on socials, Pereira was in the corner of Anderson Silva when Izzy faced Anderson Silva.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Pereira has also done a video reacting to Izzy's reaction video. Like, the guy just despises him. This is almost becoming like a supervillain hate type of thing. This is like an anime where Izzy is the anti-hero that needs to finally get back in blood. And Pereira is like, I don't know, M. Bison, where he's just like lording over the whole scene, just waiting to strike. And I don't even think he's going to stay that long at middleweight, to be honest with you. I honestly think he might just beat Izzy and just say, do you know what? I'm going like heavyweight because this is too much on my body. And he's getting older. Listen, he might have a loss to Izzy and then go, do you know what? I'm going to light heavyweight. I've already got my championship here. I've got a bit of a name. Go to light heavyweight and, less training on the body. But for sure, if we're talking about pressure, there's going to be more pressure on Izzy. And Pereira's going to go in there knowing that I've beat this guy 3 times. I can do it again.
This is going to sound more interesting. Who would the UFC prefer to win on a marketability standpoint? Would they want Izzy to be champion again? Considering, like we said, there's been a few things about him or where he, like you said, about the boring element of it, and we touched on it, or would they want Pereira to retain his title?
I honestly think they would want Izzy, only because Izzy is polarizing. As much as people like to be like, oh, he's this, that, and the third, he's still also polarizing. So there's going to be people that's going to want to tune in to see him lose. And I feel sometimes that is just as much hype as you get. And it's not, but this is general as to take wrestling terms. Izzy gets general heat. It's not like the Kobe thing where it's like cheap heat where, you know, he says shock jock things to get attention, but people still don't care. Whereas Izzy is just like, there's people that genuinely don't like him and they will actually still tune in to see him lose. And obviously, like media-wise, whether you like him or hate him, Izzy does a lot of media. So I think, especially in that division when you got the Hams out of the world and Bo Nickel, I think they'll be fine. The only person that might not be happy with Izzy win is Robert Whittaker, only because obviously lost to Izzy twice now. And I'm sure he would rather have like his chances against Pereira more than fighting Izzy again, even though I'm sure that Whittaker's got enough confidence that he can still beat Izzy. But yeah, I think Izzy might be best suited. And like I said, even if Pereira wins, he might still go to like heavyweight just because, yeah, his body is like he's not getting any younger. It's going to be harder to keep on cutting to middleweight. Remember, even like the last fight, he missed weight the first time because his body couldn't make it. So we'll see what happens.
I was going to say that before we wrap up, what's your prediction about this fight? I know when we did the Leon Usman fight, you were like, yo, I'm going for my guy, Leon, and stuff like that. That was emotional, but also I think it was also on sense as well.
Yeah, for
what
sure.
about this one? Where do you see this? Are we seeing the champion retain again, or are we going to get the challenger? Personally, for me, I think it's one of the hardest things in sport, bouncing back off a loss where you become the dominant champion and then going back and winning your title. For me, I think that's a lot more difficult than people give it credit for.
For sure. I think this is a bit on the fence, but it is what it is. If Izzy goes in there and instead of being a striker and being a full mixed martial artist, Izzy wins. Because I also feel like he's got skills that we haven't seen because he likes to strike. Whereas with Pereira, if he goes in there with an urgency as well, and I think that's the scary thing with Pereira. Pereira didn't go into that last fight with urgency. He paced himself because I'm sure, alluding once again to his weight cutting, he probably doesn't have the energy to keep on expounding and, you know, just be going all out berserk mode when he fights. But if he goes in there early and puts the pressure on, he might just use his size and big strikes to put Izzy away. But I feel like Izzy's got enough skills to show a full range of being a mixed martial artist, go in there and then put it all on display. And for me, I would love to see him be able to get the win. And then I want to see Izzy against someone like Hamzat. Well, I need to see Hamzat first, Robert Whittaker first, because he's been trying a lot of stuff. So let's see if like he's the real deal at middleweight. So he's got Paulo Costa and Whittaker to deal with. But I would love to see Izzy just go in there, be a full mixed martial artist. My thing is always, I love to see talented people reach their full potential, even if it's the case where you don't win the title. But I want to see you reach your near your full potential. And I feel like with Izzy, there's a level to go if he wants to be a full mixed martial artist. And this is going to be the fight where it shows, did you level up when it needed to? And then you can level up and lose, but at least you still leveled up. So let's wait and see.
Do you know what? The only problem with that is, even if you level up, but if you lose, people will get at you because they're like, yeah, he's done. He's done.
Izzy knows that people don't like him anyway. He knows that people don't like him. So I think that's one thing I like about Izzy. He's got enough accountability to know, like, you guys don't like me anyway. So I'm going to go in there and be me, because there's certain answers of Izzy that I don't like. But I have to respect that the guy is himself. And that's all I could ask for.
And you know what? I'm leaning on Izzy myself because, again, more well-rounded fighter. I do think, like I said, the weight thing's one thing. Also, he's younger by a couple of years. Although, for me, I do think it's one of the hardest things to do in sport is to come back and win your belt on the first fight and not have any tune-up fights and no momentum.
That's crazy.
That fight. But we are going to wrap up today's episode of the Stay Reigning podcast. As always, like we say, if you enjoyed the content, like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below, get involved with the discussion, let us know what you think is going to happen at UFC 287. And also check our previous video about Anthony Joshua as well, and let us know about that as well. What your opinions are with Joshua going forward. As always, Ray, appreciate you for coming on. Guys,
Love as always.
Love and peace, and stay waiting.